The Democratic Party had a party briefing on Sunday, August the 6th at the Simpson Bay Resort. And during that meeting, I outlined to the DP candidates the process of election for Parliament. This outline was part of the briefing on the party's key issues for this campaign, on the campaign itself, and other urgent matters to be dealt with during the coming months. I provided the outline on the process of election for Parliament because last week was abuzz again with rumors of an early election. And all of this goes back to statements by the Prime Minister in November last year that elections would have been in November 2023. This statement by the Prime Minister was later labeled as being misconstrued. The only way another election date than the one in accordance with the election ordinance is possible is that the government takes a decision to dissolve the Parliament, and government is then obliged to organize an election and ensure a new parliament is installed within 3 months. If indeed there is any truth to the stories that are circulating, we will be right back where we were in 2019 when the government decided to dissolve the Parliament. It took 3 government decrees to get it right then. And even so, the dates that were eventually decided on by the government were not in compliance with the Constitution. The government tried to circumvent this by toying with the effective date of the national decree that dissolved the Parliament in 2019 and with subsequent election on January the 9th, 2020. But it must be recalled, though, that this was only done after the main voting bureau members had threatened to resign. The NA-UP interim government at the time, first order of business should have been to fix these inconsistencies. In fact, that government, the NAUP government, had committed to do exactly that and to do it urgently, along with other reforms such as electoral reform. The NA-UP government has not delivered on any of these fronts. And after both parties lost members of Parliament and a so-called new government was formed, the touted electoral reform became a moot point. The issue is that a constitutional order to dissolve Parliament and have a new Parliament no later than 3 months later means that nomination, so what we call postulation, election, approval of credentials, etc., all need to take place within the 3 months period. These actions, however, are interconnected on the basis of the election ordinance, and in accordance with that ordinance, require at least 48 days between postulation and election and 80 to 90 days between nomination and the new Parliament installation. In 2019, the constitutional order was exceeded to provide the periods mentioned above in the election ordinance, such as the 48-day period, as well as the period of between 80 and 90 days. So the next election will be in January 2024 because that's when it has to be. There is no rocket science needed for that. Nomination, again postulation, is between November 12th and November 22nd of this year, and election at least 48 days after, so between December 30th, 2023 and January 9th, 2024. What I think the government is weighing, however, is when it is politically opportune for this government to announce the election.
currently, bills are not being issued consistently at all, um, even prior to the recent incident that GB has. Is there something going on there? Can you enlighten us as to why? Why is it that 1 year, more than a year after the hack, bills cannot be issued? What exactly is going on at GB to cause that?
So in the update we received, we were made to understand that, let's say, data provided last year this time, so as to how far they were in recovering the whole invoicing and billing system were inaccurate. After further discussion, it was much further behind than that, and they're currently about 75% recovered. So there are 25% of say clients, could be businesses or citizens, that are still not receiving bills, but they are diligently working on that. It became challenging because, let's say, garbage in, garbage out. So when you make mistakes in inputting information, or you don't use the same format, if you have several people inputting information into a system and it's not the same format, then you end up with challenges. So a lot had to be redone, which is being done, and is being done meticulously. And for those that they still have challenges, then they have to go completely back. They may have to call you in to bring certain things to collaborate or corroborate what information is in there. But we have asked NVGEB to also be a little more proactive in ensuring to inform the citizens as to where they are, what's being done, and I look forward to them doing so as well.
Thank you. If I may ask a follow-up, please. When is this whole issue of the inputting of the additional 25% expected to be resolved? And a lot of people are not paying because they are not receiving bills. So how is this whole thing affecting GEB financially?
So they have seen an uptick in, again, being 75% now, whereas last year this time, so I can't say where it was, but it was a lot less. Maybe it was opposite. Maybe they were at 20-something% at the time. So they hope to have it resolved within short. I can't give you a date because they have not given me a date. It is a slow and meticulous process. And when people receive a bill, then they still come in, maybe challenge, etc. One or two people have mentioned to me that they are receiving bills, but an earlier challenge still is a challenge. You understand? In terms of reconciling what may have happened at a particular time. And I believe the time of the hack at that time really did wreak havoc on, information from the year previous, 2021 to 2022. So there was a good backlog of a year that had to be re-inputted, so to speak. So it's quite a lot of information for all of the vendors. And so I would like to encourage, as I have each time, at the end of the day, encourage persons to at least pay what you used to pay before, because you have not. And if you haven't been paying, then you will definitely end up on a list to be cut, because you are being provided with electricity consistently, despite all the challenges that GEBE has faced. And I know for some that's small consolation, but in some countries of the world, you pay a standard amount every month, and at the end of the year, you are reconciled. So it's like, how you call that? Similar to when you do with your phone, like a top-up type of a system. So I think we're moving towards more digitalization. We're moving towards, and of course, with digitalization, you run the risk of ICT challenges. But I'm asking the people of St. Martin to bear with our one and only electricity company. They are getting things on par. At the end of the day, it's a human resources that they have to use, the hard workers at NVGEBE, as well as some others that they have brought in to assist in getting this process finalized. And they are seeing great improvement. So I look forward to it happening as you and the rest of the community sooner rather than later. And I implore NVGB again to continue to update the population to get these questions answered on a regular basis. Thank you for your patience.
mealtime rules. Don't serve yourself first. Do not eat with your mouth open. Don't rest your elbows on the table. Don't make noise when eating. Does not apply when enjoying KFC buckets. When we bucket together, we are as we really are.
SXM, your social and health insurance is SXM, your social and health insurance is.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social and health insurance is.
During the hurricane season, a potential tropical cyclone can produce rainfall that can cause flash flooding and rockfalls. Stay away from flood-prone areas during heavy rainfall, such as Jump Up Casino on Emil Plain Road in Phillipsburg, ATLH Road Roundabout, L.B. Scott Road from Emilio Wilson Park until Cake House Supermarket, Zaker's Gut from Petro Plus gas station until the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Welkalaken Road K Hill from Welkalaken Road Roundabout until the One-Tete Loke Roundabout, Beacon Hill Road from Sunset Bar and Grill until the beginning of White Sands Road, and Rhine Road, also known as Mullet Bay Road, after Sonesto Maho Beach Hotel to the entrance of Cooper Coy from the intersection of the University Drive until the intersection of Rio Grande. For more information on how you can keep yourself and your family safe this hurricane season, visit stmartingolf.org/hurricane. This public service announcement is brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
With regards to the other cases, what we try to do is persons have an option. If you go to internal affairs, your application or your complaint rather is processed there. The report is then given to the chief of police, who then has the ability to determine if there are any consequences that would happen. I, as minister, could request to receive that report as well. I can't say that I have received the reports that you are referring to. But when it comes to the complaint committee, that is an external body, they do and have received complaints, which they have reviewed. I have received updates from them. I can't list for you off the top of my head what those recommendations have been, but the complaint committee is handling matters. The particular cases you're referring to, I can't say that they have been referred to that committee in terms of the need or seeing the need for that. And we can't also forget the fact that we have our national detectives. So in the event that it is proven something has been done that is extraordinary or misconduct, it can be also escalated to our national detectives for further investigation and handling. Chief, I don't know if you want to add to that?
Yes, maybe just explain a little more of the procedure. So when someone does a complaint by the internal affairs, if it deemed to be something what we call strafrechtelijk, penal, that case is referred to the public prosecutor. The public prosecutor, in conjunction with the prosecutor general, then gives the national detectives referral to have to deal with that case. So the structure is, as soon as we do a preliminary investigation and we notice that it's penal, the internal affairs no more deals with this. Speaking about the complaints committee, we have been working along with them. They are allowed to view all documentation. They are allowed to have insight in all internal investigations. And they have been doing their job, I must say, to our satisfaction also. In investigations, it can happen that it comes out two sides. So maybe we did something beyond our reach, or it also can show clearly that officers followed the procedures and did the required.
today too as well, and it is something that is not disturbing to me, but it is something that I think needs to stop, and it needs to stop immediately. And that is, again, with our schools demanding that black children and young boys must cut their hair to a certain way to enter into school. Okay, your hair got to be cut, no fade, no this, no that. And but you don't say that to the Chinese, because they have a lot, their hair is straight and it's full. The same thing for the Indians. The same thing for the Arabs. Okay? The same thing for the white children. But when you point that finger, and it's almost, the cat is almost all the schools now. I called a school this morning for that, This is a 3-year-old child that they were saying had to go and cut their hair. And I got the pictures and everything of it. And I look at it and I send it to the school director. I say, but tell me what is wrong. But I'll tell you what is disturbing. These are the old ways that we have brought from the colonial era. Okay? Because at that time, the black girl's hair was rough and scruffy, and you had to plait it and tuck it in, and you had to straighten it and hot comb it, and that's what was dealt to us at the time. You can't come with no. I can understand when they say no part, no lines, no big hair, no. Your hair got to be combed, it got to be well groomed, it got to look. I can understand all of that. No fade, no this, but what's the reason? Why? Why must you dictate that to a 3-year-old child, to how a 3-year-old, 4-year-old child hair should be? That is going to school, early STEM. Why? Because if you are saying that the hair got to be bald or low cut, but then the Chinese fella hair got to be bald and low cut too. Yeah. The Indian boy hair got to be bald and low cut too. The white child hair got to be bald and low cut too as well. That got to be done so for them.
Based on what law they make it?
But there is no law that dictates that.
Then you're infringing on my right.
There is no law that dictates that.
You understand? Now you're infringing on my right because you're making all kind of rules and regulation and all kind of things.
Okay? And it need to stop. It need to stop. But these are the things that the ministry got to come out and put down their foot on.
Social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, your social and health insurances.
With you, the new Kentaco, a combination that will surprise the most curious palates. Combining the deliciousness of KFC chicken and the practicality of a taco with a doubly delicious ergonomic shape. Wow! Compatible with all types of bites. New Kentaco. Enjoy a double breaded chicken breast with our secret recipe. Cheese, lettuce, and tomato. New Kentaco, the innovation that's in everyone's mouth.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to keep in mind to help keep you and your family safe. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, with the peak occurring between mid-August and late October. This hurricane season, be sure to put together a go bag. A disaster supply kit including a flashlight, batteries, cash, first aid and supplies, medications, and copies of your critical information if you need to evacuate. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
Mr. Mid of August is quickly approaching. That means the peak of the hurricane season. As chairperson of the EOC, and based on your assessment of the state of readiness, would you therefore say that St. Martin is quite ready in the event of a hurricane?
Yes, the hurricane season lasts a long time. And we started earlier than June 1st, which is the official start. From in May, we were already experiencing challenges. And now, of course, everyone can tell how hot it is. We are experiencing quite, I guess we forget every year how hot it gets, but it is hot. So I'm saying, first of all, take care of yourself. Ensure that you're hydrating properly. Government's website has been updated. The hurricane is at the front. The hurricane preparedness is at the front. You can click on that link. And do ensure that as individuals, as families, businesses, institutions like schools, churches, and the like, that you are well prepared, that you have a disaster plan, you have a hurricane plan, an evacuation plan if necessary, and that you have the needed medication for the vulnerable, as well as whatever you may need. As Government of St. Martin, our ESF coordinators are as prepared as we usually are. We continue to grow. They've received some training. We're doing community training as well. I did update a couple of weeks ago. The press statement was out there, but I'm super proud of the Ministry of ESF 6 and 7 community development have really gone out in the community, and we have trained a big cohort of trainers who can now train more people. And that is the way we continue to grow. I think St. Martin will one day definitely become the hub for disaster preparedness. And we're doing everything we can to ensure that we are fully prepared for any eventuality, but we will continue to pray that St. Martin and the rest of the region is spared, because we are still in recovery.
If we are saying to persons, plan for your retirement and make the necessary steps and adjustments in your financial planning, I do believe that some tax allowance should be reinstated to encourage that participation, Mr. President. You work, Mr. President, you are taxed. You put aside your money for your old age pension, private or otherwise, and you are taxed. Double taxation, Mr. President. And I don't know the numbers, but I would really like to know how much revenue the government really gets from the taxation of pensions. Because if it is immaterial, Mr. President, it is a measure that can be scrapped.